you're doing good, and today I am here with a video on playing with numbers class 6 maths. Now, we are going to learn about a very basic concept of mathematics, but a very important one, and that is factors and multiples. Since our childhood days, we have been learning about tables, as in table of 2, 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2 threes are 6, 2 fours are 8, and so on. Similarly, table of 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Now is the time that we go back and look at those tables again and try to understand which one is a factor and which one is a multiple of a given number. Now, trust me guys, this is going to be a very interesting video and a very important one, most importantly. Yeah, so stay focused and let's get started. So here in this lesson, our target is to learn tricks to answer such complicated questions quickly. So we will play around with numbers. So on the screen you see there are some complicated questions which I do not say that you cannot solve them, you definitely can, but you would need time to do these kind of big divisions to decide whether such a big number, look at this number, such a huge number, and somebody asks you whether it is an even number or odd number. So it's difficult to to tell these answers quickly, but that is our target in this lesson. So let us start with the first concept of this chapter, that is factors and multiples. So what are factors? Factor of a number is an exact divisor of that number. Now you might ask, what is a divisor? Now let us say that we are dividing two numbers. So let us take an example here to understand what is a divisor. Let's say that I have written 4 divided by 2. That means 4 is the number which is being divided by 2. So in this case, 2 is the divisor and 4 is the dividend. So whichever number is being divided, that is dividend, and by which number it is divided, that is divisor. So how do you divide? You divide it something like this. 2 twos are 4. So what do you get? You get 0. So here 2 is the divisor, 4 is the dividend, 2 is the quotient, and 0 is the remainder. So these are the 4 terms that we use when we perform division operation. Now, a factor is an exact divisor of a number. Exact divisor would mean that when that number is divided by this number, the remainder will be 0. So that is the meaning of exact divisor. Exact divisor means that the number will be exactly divisible by that number, leaving no remainder behind. So let us look at a few examples. So let's start with the smaller numbers. Let's start with 1. Now, which number is an exact divisor of 1? That means if 1 is the dividend, which is that number which will be a divisor such that the remainder will be 0? So what would be that number? So that number would actually be 1, because 1 into 1 is 1. So therefore 1 is an exact divisor of 1. So we can say 1 is a factor of 1. Now let us consider the next number, that is 2. What about 2? Now for 2, 1 is an exact divisor, because if you divide 2 by 1, like 2 divided by 1 would be something like this. So 1 twos are 2. So the remainder is 0. So 1 is an exact divisor. 2 is also an exact divisor, because if you do 2 divided by 2, what do you get? This is how you do it. So 2 ones are 2. So here also this is an exact divisor. So basically 1 and 2 are factors of 2. And that is why this 2 can be written as 1 into 2. This can also be written as 2 into 1. Right? Because if 1 divides 2 exactly, that means 1 multiplied by something should be equal to 2. And that something is 2. Right? Let's look at the next number, that is 3. So in case of 3, 1 again is an exact divisor. Do you think that 2 would be an exact divisor? No, that's because if you divide 3 by 2, what happens? You see that you get 1 as a remainder. That means 2 is not an exact divisor of 3. So 1 and 3 are the exact divisor of 3. So this can be written as 1 into 3. This can be written as 3 into 1. Now whenever a particular number is an exact divisor or a factor, then that factor will be multiplied with some other number to get this number. Let's talk about 4. 4 is going to be a little different. In case of 4, 1 is a factor because 1 into 4 is 4. Do you think 2 is a factor? Yes, because 2 into 2 is 4. Do you think 3 is a factor? No, 3 is not a factor. What about 4? Is 4 a factor? Yes, because 4 into 1 is 4. So 1, 2 and 4, these are the factors of 4. Let's talk about 5. So in case of 5, 1 is a factor because it can be written as 1 into 5. Is 2 a factor? No. 3? No. 4? No. What about 5? Yes, 5 into 1 is equal to 5. So 5 is also a factor. Let's look at 6. In case of 6, 1 is a factor because 1 into 6 is equal to 6. 2 is also a factor because 2 into 3 is equal to 6. 3 is also a factor because 3 into 2 is equal to 6. What about 4? No, 4 is not a factor. 5 is also not a factor, but 6 is a factor because 6 into 1 is equal to 6. Therefore, 1, 2, 3 and 6 are the factors of 6. So basically, whenever we say factor of a number, that means we are basically talking about the exact divisor of that number. Now, another interesting thing that you will always observe is that the factor of a number will always be either less than the number or equal to the number. It can never be greater than the number. For example, here let's say the number is 6. So what are the factors that we have? 1, 2, 3 and 6. Do you think that you can have any number which is greater than 6 as factor of 6? Do you think that 12 can be a factor of 6? No, it cannot be, because if you divide 6 by 12, what happens? 12 divided by 6. So what do you get? You will get a result in decimals, right? So basically, when we talk about factors of numbers, we are talking about exact divisors. So we are not talking about decimals. We are talking about whole numbers. So they will not get divisible by whole numbers, and therefore bigger numbers cannot be factors. So a factor of a number is always less than or equal to that number. So this is another very, very important concept of factor. Now let us look at factors of some bigger numbers. Let us look at bigger numbers. For example, let's consider 12. Now, if I ask you to find the factors of 12. Now, 12 is comparatively a bigger number than 1, 2, 3 or 4. So, what about 12? Now, let's start from 1. Do you think that 1 is a factor of 12? Yes, of course, because if you divide 12 by 1, it will be exactly divisible. So, 1 is a factor. 2, yes, 2 is also a factor. 3 is also a factor. Now, why 1 is a factor? Because 1 into 12 is 12. Why 2 is a factor? Because 2 into 6 is 12. Why 3 is a factor? Because 3 into 4 is 12. 4, yes, 4 is a factor because 4 into 3 is 12. What about 5? Is 5 a factor? No, because 5 doesn't divide 12 exactly. What about 6? That's true, 6 into 2 is 12, so 6 is also a factor. What about 7? No, 7 is not a factor. 8? No. 9? No. 10? No. What about 11? No. What about 12? Yes, 12 again is a factor because 12 into 1 is 12. So this way we see. Now why didn't we go beyond 12? Because we know that a factor of a number is either equal to or less than that number. So factor of 12 can either be equal to 12 or less than 12. It cannot be greater than 12. So we went only up to 12. So what did we find? We find that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12 are the factors of the number 12. Let's look at number 13. Now, if you do the same thing for 13, you would see that 1 and 13. These are the only factors of 13. That's because the only possible ways of writing 13 is 1 into 13 or 13 is to 1. So these are the only two factors. Let's talk about another number like 15. What do you say about 15? Again, you write the same list of numbers and you would realize that 1, 3, 5 and 15. These are the factors. That's because 1 into 15 is 15, 3 into 5 is 15, 5 into 3 is 15 and 15 into 1 is 15. Let's talk about another number like 24. So for 24 again we have a lot of factors. Like 1 is a factor, 2 is also a factor because 2 into 12 is 24. 3 is also a factor because 3 into 8 is 24. 4 is also a factor because 4 into 6 is 24. 5, no, 5 is not a factor. 6, yes, 6 into 4 is 24. 7, no, 7 is not a factor. 8, yes, because 8 into 3 is 24. 9, no. What about 10? No. 11, no. 12, yes, 12 again is a factor because 12 into 2 is 24. And after 12 again, none of the numbers are factor and directly 24 is the factor because 24 into 1 is 24. So from this list, are you observing certain things? One thing we observed is a factor has to be an exact divisor of that particular number. Second thing that we observed is factor of a number is always less than or equal to the number. Another thing that you would observe is 1 is a factor of all numbers. So you see, whichever number we have considered, everywhere we saw that 1 is a factor of that number. And another observation is that the number itself is also a factor of that number. You see, 12 is a factor of 12, 13 is a factor of 13, 15 is a factor of 15, 24 is a factor of 24 and so on. So that means that 1 and the number itself, these two are factors for every numbers. Let's now talk about multiples. Now, a number is said to be a multiple of each of its factors. Now, very interesting. Factors and multiples are very closely related. So, it is something like this. Let's say that you have a sister. So, what will you be to your sister? You will be your sister's brother and she will be a brother's sister and you will be a sister's brother. So, how is the relation like? So let's say that the name of your sister is, say, Reena. And let's say that your name is Sunny. So this means that Reena is sister of Sunny and Sunny is brother of Reena. So that's the relation, right? So in a similar way, if you see that, say, 2 is a factor of 12, that would mean that 12 is a multiple of 2. So that is how the relation is. So let's say 2 and 12. So if we say that 2 is a factor of 12, then we will have to say that 12 is a multiple of 2. So a number is always a multiple of each of its factors. So let us understand this with examples. Now we had seen in the previous slide that for any number, let's say for number 3, we have how many factors? It has 2 factors, 1 and 3, right? Why? Because 3 can be written as 1 into 3, it can also be written as 3 into 1. So this means, what does this mean? This means that 3 is a multiple of 1. 3 is also a multiple of 3. So 3 is a multiple of 1, 3 is a multiple of 3. Similarly, if you take number 4, so 4 can be written as 1 into 4, it can be written as 2 into 2, it can also be written as 4 into 1. So it has 3 factors, that is 1, 2 and 4. So that means that 4 is multiple of 1, 2 and 4. Let's talk about 6. So what are the factors that 6 has? So 1 into 6, 2 into 3, 3 into 2, 6 into 1. So 1, 2, 3, 6. These are the factors of 6. So this means that 6 is multiple of 1, 2, 3 and 6. So this is the meaning of multiple. Now let us try writing multiples of different numbers. So let us start with the small numbers. So let's start with 2. So how do we write multiple? How do we write multiples? Multiple means whenever you multiply a number to this number, you would get another number. So that would basically become its multiple. For example, if you multiply 1 to 2, you get 2. That means 2 is a multiple of 2 because 2 can be exactly divided by 2. Similarly, if you write 2 into 2, which is equal to 4, that means 4 is divisible by 2. That means 2 becomes a factor of 4 and 4 becomes a multiple of 2. So please understand this concept very carefully. Now, the exact divisor of any number is called its factor, right? And the number of which it is a factor is called its multiple. So that's the simple concept. So in this case, 2 into 2 is 4. That means 4 is a multiple of 2 and 2 is a factor of 4 because 2 is an exact divisor of 4. Similarly, if you write 2 into 3 equal to 6, that means 6 is exactly divisible by 2. So 2 is a factor of 6 and 6 is a multiple of 2. 2 into 4 is equal to 8, which means 8 is exactly divisible by 2. Therefore, 2 is a factor of 8 and 8 is a multiple of 2. So that's the logic. Now in this way, we can write down all the multiples of 2. And this will continue because as you keep increasing this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, you will continue to get these multiples. So how many multiples exist for 2? Infinite, because this 1, 2, 3, 4, the counting will go till infinity. We know, right, that natural numbers, whole numbers, they continue till infinity. So basically 2 multiplied by infinity will become some infinity. So that ways we can say that there exists infinite number of multiples for a particular number. So please understand the concept of or understand the relationship between factor and multiple very, very clearly. So let us take any one example from this. So can you tell me from this who is a factor and who is a multiple and why? So if you take this instant, you will see this means that 8 is exactly divisible by 2. Now since 8 is exactly divisible by 2, that means if you divide 8 by 2, what will you get? You get 4. So that means that 2 is a factor of 8 and it also means that 8 is a multiple of 2. So that is the simple concept of factors and multiples. Right? Let's try to write multiples of the number 3. How would you write multiples of 3? 3 into 1, 3 into 2, 3 into 3, 3 into 4 and so on. So what do you get? 3, 6, 9, 12 and so on. So in this fashion, you can write down the multiples of 3. Now in similar fashion, you can also write multiples of bigger numbers. So let us take an example. Let's consider 12. So how would you write multiples of 12? Just keep on multiplying the various natural numbers like 12 into 1, 12 into 2, 12 into 3, 12 into 4. So what do you get? You get 12, 24, 36, 48 and so on. So this can go till infinity. So there exists infinite multiples of any number. So you talk about even bigger number like 200 or 20. So it would be 20 into 1 which is 20, 20 into 2 which is 40, 20 into 3 which is 60 and so on. So in this way, we can write down multiples of numbers. So I hope that the relationship between factors and multiples is clear now. So based on whatever we have studied so far on factors and multiples, let us see what did we conclude, because there were certain important things that we knew about factors and multiples. Now a factor has to be an exact divisor of the number. Only then it becomes a factor of that number. So you think of any example. So let's think of this example 4. So who would be a multiple of 4? Only that number which divides 4 exactly, leaving 0 as remainder. For example, 1 would be an exact divisor, 2 would be an exact divisor, 4 itself would be an exact divisor. So 1, 2 and 4 would be the factors of number 4. 1 is a factor of every number. Now if you want, you can just observe it for yourself. So let us take 4. So what are the factors of 4? 4 can be written as 1 into 4, it can be written as 2 into 2, it can be written as 4 into 1. Now when we write 4 as 2 into 2, it basically means that 2 exactly divides 4, where the other 2 would be quotient and the remainder would be 0. Similarly, when you divide 4 by 4, the quotient would be 1 and the remainder would be 0. So considering these, we find that 1, 2 and 4 are factors of 4. Similarly, think of a number like 8. So 8 can be written as 1 into 8, 2 into 4, 4 into 2, 8 into 1. So basically looking at these, you can say 1, 2, 4, 8 are the factors of 8. Now did you notice something? That 1 is common for both of them. In fact, you consider any number, you consider 13, you consider 59, you consider 100, everywhere you would see that 1 is a factor, because 1 divides every number. Every number is a factor of itself. Now that is also another interesting fact, that 4 is a factor of 4, 8 is a factor of 8, 13 is a factor of 13, 59 is a factor of 59, and so on. So basically 1 and the number itself, these two factors will be there for every number. A factor is always less than or equal to the number. So that is also very much evident, because who would be a factor? An exact divisor. So that exact divisor has to be less than the number itself, or at the max it can be equal to the number. So you see, for 4 the factors are either less than 4 like 1 and 2, or equal to 4. Similarly for 8, the factors are either less than 8 like 1, 2 and 4, or it is equal to 8. A number has finite number of factors. Finite means fixed number of or limited number of factors. So if you consider this number 4, so how many factors number 4 has? 1, 2 and 4. So basically it has 3 factors. You think of number 8, how many factors it has? 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 4 factors, and these number of factors remain constant. So 4 cannot have more than 3 factors. These are the only possible factors for 4. So for every number you have a finite number of factors. Now when we come to the multiples, we see that every number is a multiple of itself. Now that is one very interesting fact, that every number is a factor of itself and every number is also a multiple of itself. Now let us look at an example. Let us consider the number 4 and let us try to write its multiples. So these would be the multiples of 4. So basically what do you see? That the multiples start with the number itself. So if it is 4, 4 when multiplied by 1 is 4 itself. And that is which property of whole number is this? Can you recall from the previous lesson? It is nothing but multiplicative identity. 1 is called the multiplicative identity because when you multiply 1 to any number, the number remains the same. And that is the reason why 4 is a multiple of itself, because 4 when multiplied by 1 gives the number itself. That is, it gives 4. A multiple is always more than or equal to the number. So that's another interesting thing, because when we were talking about factors, we were actually trying to divide the number. by their factors. But when we talk about multiples, we try to multiply the numbers. So you see, in order to find the multiples, what are we doing? We are multiplying the number 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. But when we were trying to find factors of 4, what were we trying to do? We were trying to divide 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, and then try to find out where the remainder is 0. So since here we are multiplying, so it is quite obvious that the value of the multiples would be more than that of the number, or at least it would be equal to the number. So a multiple will always be more than or equal to the number. A number has infinite number of multiples. As you can see here, that the count of these natural numbers starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, this would continue till infinity. So you might reach a number where you are actually trying to multiply 4 by infinity. So what would you get? You would get infinity. So basically the number of multiples are also infinite. So you can start from 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. So you can go on and on. And you would write infinite number of multiples of 4. Not only 4, this is true for any number. So these are some of the differences between factors and multiples. So I hope that the concept of factors and multiples are absolutely clear now. If it is not clear, please replay and watch the video again, but get your concept cleared. So now that your concept is clear, let us quickly look at some of the questions. Question number 1. Write all the factors of the following numbers: 27, 18 and 36. So let us start with 27. So how do we write factors of a number? So we start from 1 and we just keep checking that is there any number which can divide 27 completely. So that's how we would do it. So let us start with 1. So yes, 1 into 27, we can write it like this. So 1 is a factor of every number, we know. What about 2? 2 will not divide 27. How about 3? Yes, 3 nines are 27. How about 4? 4 will again not divide. 5, no. 6, no. 7, no. 8, no. 9, yes. 9 into 3 is 27. So again, as you move on like this, you find that again finally the next thing that you can write is 27 into 1. So basically from this you see that 1, 3, 9, 27. These are the factors of 27. Now you might ask me here that how can we just mentally decide that 2 can divide 27 completely or not? Or how would we decide that 4 will divide 27 or not? Because you might not know that at instance. So for that we will give, as we move ahead with this lesson, I will give you some tricks. They are called divisibility tests, and using those tests you can very quickly determine whether a particular number is divisible by another number or not. So that will make your task easier. Now let us talk about the next number, that is 18. So for 18, what are the ways we can write 18? So we can write 18 as 1 into 18. This can be written as 2 into 9. This can also be written as 3 into 6. This can be written as 6 into 3, 9 into 2 and 18 into 1. Now have you observed something very nice about this sequence? That first you write 1 into 18, 2 into 9, 3 into 6. Now the moment you write it as 2 into 9, that anyways proves that 2 is a factor of 18, but it also indirectly proves that 9 is also a factor of 18, because 9 will also divide 18 completely, leaving quotient as 2 and remainder as 0. And that is why you get the same terms again, just the order changed. So this time you are dividing it by 9 instead of 2. And that is how you can say that 18 would have the factors 1, 2, 3, 6, 9 and 18. Let us now talk about 36. So 36 can be written as 1 into 36, 2 into 18, 3 into 12, 4 into 9, 6 into 6, 9 into 4, 12 into 3, 18 into 2 36 into 1. So these are the various ways in which you can write 36, which shows that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18 and 36 are the factors of 36. Question number 2. Write first 5 multiples of 9. Now how do we find multiples? By multiplying the number by the various natural numbers. So first 5. So we start multiplying with 1. So multiplied by 1, then multiplied by 2, then 3, then 4 and then 5. So what are their values? So this is 9, this is 18, this is 27, this is 36 and this is 45. So these are the first 5 multiples of 9. Question number 3. Match the items in column 1 with the items in column 2. 35. Is it a multiple of 8? Do you think that 35 would be a multiple of 8? Quickly recall the table of 8. 8 ones are 8, 8 is 16, 8 is 24, 8 4 is 32, 8 5 is 40. So you have 42, you have 32 and then you have 40. So 35 is not there. So 35 is not a multiple of 8. Multiple of 7, yes, it is a multiple of 7 because when you actually look at the multiples of 7, you would see they are 7 ones are 7, 7 twos are 14, 7 threes are 21, 7 fours are 28 and 7 5 is 35. So 35 is a multiple of 7. 15. What is 15? Is 15 multiple of 8? No. Multiple of 70? No, because multiples of any number will always be greater than or equal to the number. So multiple of 70 has to be greater than or equal to 70. Factor of 30? Factor of 30, yes, that could be possible because when you divide 30, now in order to be factor of 30, 15 should exactly divide 30. So when you divide 30 by 15, what do you get? You can write 30 as 15 into 2. So therefore it leaves remainder 0. So therefore 15 is a factor of 30. 16. The 16 is a multiple of 8. Why? Because 8 into 2 is equal to 16. So therefore 16 is a multiple of 8. 20. So 20 is a multiple of 70. That is not possible because multiple of 70 has to be greater than or equal to 70. 20 is a factor of 50. That is also not true because if you divide 50 by 20, the remainder is not 0. A factor of 20, yes, because every number is a factor of itself. 25 is a multiple of 70, no, not possible again. 25 is a factor of 50, yes, that can happen. That's because 50 divided by 25 is equal to 2. So 50 can be written as 25 into 2. So 25 is a factor of 50.
I hope you found the video useful. If at all you have a feedback or you want to share your experience with us, do let us know in the comment section. If you really like the video, do share it with your friends as well. I will meet you guys very soon with a new video, with a new topic. Till then, stay home, stay safe, take care, bye-bye.